Hello, everyone, and a very, very warm welcome back to English Made Easy. For those of you who are new here, our mission is simple. We want to help you learn English in the most straightforward, practical, and, well, easy way possible. We cut through the boring textbook stuff and get right to what you actually need. Today, we're tackling a huge topic. It's a question I get from students all the time. Teacher, how do I stop translating in my head? How do I actually start thinking in English? This is the secret key, the final step that takes you from being someone who studies English to someone who lives in English. And along the way, we are going to learn some beautiful, powerful, advanced vocabulary. I'm not just going to give you a list of words. I'm going to show you why they matter, how they can make you sound more intelligent and precise, and how you can use them in your real, everyday life. For me, this is personal. I've been an English teacher for a very long time, and I've had the privilege of working with students from every corner of the world. I've sat with engineers from Germany, artists from Brazil, chefs from Japan, and doctors from Korea. And they all, at some point, hit the same wall. Their grammar is perfect, their vocabulary is good, but there's a delay, a pause, the mental gymnastics of thinking in their native language, translating, and then speaking. It's exhausting. I see it in their eyes. So here's my promise to you. By the end of this video, you won't just have a list of techniques. You will understand the feeling of thinking in English. You'll have practical steps you can start using the second this video ends. And you'll learn some incredible C2 level words, understand what they mean, when to use them, and how to pronounce them. And one more thing. As we go, I want you to speak with me. When I say a new word, I want you to say it too, even if you're just whispering it to yourself. I'll be speaking with the natural rhythm of a native speaker, and the more you mimic that, the faster your brain will adapt. Are you ready? Let's begin. The first technique we're going to explore is one of my absolute favorites because it's a bit like a game. It's called shadowing practice. So, what is it? Put simply, shadowing is listening to a piece of native English audio. It could be a podcast, a scene from a movie, or even this YouTube video, and repeating it almost immediately after you hear it. You're not waiting for the sentence to finish. You're speaking along with the speaker, like their shadow. You are trying to copy everything: the rhythm, the speed, the emotion, the pauses. It's like being a parrot, but an incredibly intelligent parrot that understands the feeling behind the words. The purpose here isn't to understand every single word. The purpose is to get your mouth and your brain to work together in a new way. It's about building muscle memory. When you do this, you start to pick up on all the tiny, almost invisible things that make English sound natural. You start to notice the nuance. Now, that's a beautiful, advanced word, nuance. Let's say it together. Nuance. Nuance. One more time. Nuance. Nuance simply means the small, subtle differences in meaning or sound or feeling that can be hard to notice at first. For example, there's a nuance between the words like and love. They're similar but not the same. There's a subtle difference. When you shadow, you're not just learning words, you're learning the nuance of how people use them. Is their voice getting quiet? Are they speeding up because they're excited? That's all nuance. A good synonym for nuance is subtlety or a fine distinction. So, how do you actually do this? Let's walk through it step by step. First, you need to prepare. Find a short piece of audio, maybe 1 to 2 minutes long. It's very important that it has a transcript, a written version of the words. You can find transcripts from many podcasts and YouTube videos. And choose a speaker whose voice you like, someone who speaks clearly. Now, the introduction to the activity is for yourself. Just listen. For the first time, put your pencil down. Don't read the transcript. Just close your eyes and listen to the sounds of the language. Don't worry about meaning. Hear the music of the language. Next is the execution. This is where the work begins. Play the audio again, but this time read the transcript as you listen. This connects the sounds you're hearing to the words on the page. Do this a couple of times. Okay, are you ready for the real magic? Now you're going to play the audio again, and this time you are going to speak along with it. Read the transcript and speak at the same time as the native speaker. It will feel strange. You will stumble. You will miss words. It does not matter. The goal is to keep going. Try to match their speed and rhythm exactly. Your role here is not to be a perfect student, but to be an actor trying to mimic a character. As you get more comfortable, you can try shadowing without the transcript. This is the advanced level. You are just listening and repeating half a second behind the speaker. This forces you to focus entirely on the sound. You're not just copying words anymore, you're copying the music of the sentence, the rise and fall of their voice. You're copying the inflection. That's our second word for this section, inflection. Let's try it. Inflection. The stress is on that middle syllable, fleck. Inflection. Inflection is simply the way a speaker's voice changes pitch, goes up or down to show meaning or emotion. When you ask a question in English, your voice usually goes up at the end. Are you coming? That rise is inflection. When you're sad, your inflection might be very flat. When you're excited, it might be up and down all over the place. Shadowing is the best way I know to learn this natural music. An easy way to think of inflection as the melody of your voice. Let's look at a quick example. A traditional way of learning might be to memorize the sentence, "I can't believe he said that." You learn the grammar, the vocabulary, but when you shadow a native speaker saying it, you might hear, "I can't believe he said that." You hear the stress on the word said. You hear the surprise, the slight disbelief. You learn the emotion, not just the information. That's the difference. Of course, there are advantages and challenges. The biggest advantage is that you can do it anywhere for free with just your phone and headphones. It directly connects your ears to your mouth, bypassing that slow, frustrating translation part of your brain. It builds incredible speaking confidence. The challenge? You will feel silly, I promise you. The first time you do it, you will feel ridiculous. I tell my students to embrace it. Lock yourself in your room, do it in the car while you're driving, or do it while you're walking the dog. Nobody needs to hear you. This is your private gym for your mouth. My best tip for success is to start small. Don't try to shadow a 30-minute podcast. Start with 60 seconds. Do that same 60-second clip every day for a week. You will be amazed at how much more natural and fluid you sound by the end of the week. So why should you use this method? You should use shadowing because it teaches you that English isn't just a set of grammar rules. It's a living, breathing thing with a rhythm and a soul. Shadowing helps you find that soul. So you've started to train your mouth and your ears to work together. You're catching the nuance. You're mimicking the inflection. But what about that constant voice inside your own head? For most learners, that inner voice still speaks their native language. Our next technique is designed to change that. It's called using English for daily self-talk. This sounds almost too simple to be effective, but I have seen it create some of the most profound changes in my students. It's about consciously turning your own inner monologue, your stream of consciousness, into a private English lesson that runs all day long. The method is exactly what it sounds like. You narrate your own life as it happens, as if you're the star of your own documentary. When you're making breakfast, you say, okay, I am opening the fridge now. I'm taking out the eggs. I need to find a pan. When you're getting dressed, I think I will wear the blue shirt today. Where are my keys? Ah, they are on the table. The purpose is to make English the default language for your most basic thoughts. It's a very private and safe way to practice. There's no one there to judge you. There's no grade. There is no pressure. This process of looking inward and examining your own thoughts is naturally very introspective. And that's our next powerful C2 word, introspective. Let's practice it. Introspective. Introspective. The stress is on the third syllable, spec. Introspective. To be introspective just means to be thoughtful, to look inward and examine your own mind and your own feelings. Journaling is an introspective activity. Meditation is an introspective practice. This self-talk technique is a form of active introspection, where you're not just thinking, but you're giving a voice to those thoughts. A synonym you might know is self-reflecting or simply thoughtful. Let's break down how to do this. The procedure is simple. First, preparation. There is none. You just decide to start. The introduction is a silent commitment you make to yourself. For the next 10 minutes, I will only think in English. The execution has 2 levels. Level 1 is narrating your actions. Just describe what you are doing and seeing in the present moment. I am walking down the street. I see a dog. The traffic light is red. Keep the sentences simple. Subject, verb, object. This builds the basic foundation. Level 2 is narrating your thoughts and feelings. This is more advanced. I feel happy today because the sun is shining. I'm worried about that email I have to send. I wonder what I should have for dinner. This is where you start to connect English to your inner world, to your emotions and opinions. Your role as the teacher in this exercise is to be kind to yourself. When you don't know a word, and you will often not know a word, you have 2 choices. You can either describe it using words you do know, like, I need to buy that white soap for clothes. Or you can simply say the word in your native language and continue the sentence. The key is not to stop. Don't let one missing word break your flow. You can look it up later. The wrap-up for this activity happens naturally. When you get distracted or tired, you just stop. But the more you do it, the longer you'll be able to sustain it. When you practice narrating your thoughts this way, you're building a bridge between a feeling and a word. So when you're in a real conversation and you feel a certain way, the English words are already there, waiting for you. You're able to articulate your thoughts much more clearly and quickly. Here's our next C2 word, articulate. Let's pronounce it. Articulate. Articulate. The stress is on the second syllable, tick. Articulate. To articulate means to express an idea or a feeling clearly and effectively using words. A great public speaker is very articulate. They can take complex ideas and make them easy to understand. When you practice self-talk, you are practicing the skill of articulating your own inner state. A synonym you might know is self-reflecting or simply thoughtful. The main advantage of this technique is that it costs nothing and you can do it anytime, anywhere. It turns dead time, like commuting, washing dishes, or waiting in line, into productive learning time. It directly attacks the habit of mental translation. The main challenge, honestly, is remembering to do it. It requires a conscious effort to start, and sometimes you just feel too tired. My tip for success is to link it to an existing habit. For example,
Decide that every time you brush your teeth, you will narrate the process in English. I'm putting toothpaste on the brush. I'm starting with the top teeth. It's only 2 minutes, but if you do it twice a day, every day, that's over 20 hours of practice in a year. You should choose this method because thinking in English starts with talking in English. And the safest, most accessible person to talk to is always yourself. You are rewiring the default operating system of your mind, one simple sentence at a time.
Okay, your inner voice is starting to whisper in English. You're getting used to the sound and feel of it. But to really make the leap, you need to change the world around you, too. This brings us to our third technique, immersion input, or what I like to call creating an English-only zone. The idea here is based on how we all learned our first language. As a baby, you weren't studying your native language, you were drumming in it. You heard it all day, every day, from every direction. Your brain had no choice but to learn to make sense of it. We need to recreate a mini version of that experience. We need to make English ubiquitous in your life. What a fantastic word, ubiquitous. It sounds complicated, but the meaning is simple. Let's say it. Ubiquitous. Ubiquitous. The stress is on the second syllable, bic. Ubiquitous. Ubiquitous just means something that seems to be present or found everywhere at the same time. In today's world, smartphones are ubiquitous. The internet is ubiquitous. Our goal is to make English ubiquitous in your personal world. A common synonym is everywhere or pervasive. So, how do we do this? The method isn't a single activity, it's a collection of small, simple changes to your environment. The preparation is a kind of audit of your daily life. What do you look at? What do you listen to? What do you read? Then the execution is to change as many of those things into English as you possibly can. Start with your phone, right now. Go into the settings and change the system language to English. This is one of the most powerful things you can do. Suddenly, you will learn words like settings, notifications, voicemail, edit, and delete. Without ever opening a textbook, you learn them because you need them to live your life. Then move to your apps and social media. Follow news organizations, celebrities, artists, and meme pages that post in English. Change the language settings on Netflix, on your video games, on your computer. Your goal is to make it so that when you passively scroll through your phone, you are absorbing English. Read daily, but keep it short and simple. You don't need to read a classic novel. Read the headlines on an English news website. Read the comments on a YouTube video. Read the caption on an Instagram post. These are small, bite-sized pieces of real, modern English. The teacher's role here is played by your own curiosity. When you see a word you don't know in a headline, your brain will want to know what it means. That's the perfect moment to look it up. The learning is driven by a real need to understand the world you've created. I had a student from South Korea, a huge gamer. He was struggling with conversational English. So he took a brave step. He switched his favorite online game from the Korean servers to the North American servers. At first, he didn't understand the slang, the jokes, the quick commands. He felt lost, but he kept playing. Day after day, he was immersed in it. He started to understand. He started to type back. Gradually, his conversational English, especially his understanding of informal slang, got better and better. His brain had been forced to acclimatize. This is our next C2 word, acclimatize. Let's try it. Acclimatize. Acclimatize. The stress is on the second syllable, cli. Acclimatize. To acclimatize means to get used to a new place, a new situation, or a new climate.
When you go on vacation to a very hot country, your body needs a few days to acclimatize to the heat. When you create an English-only zone, you are forcing your brain to acclimatize to a new linguistic environment. It's like to adapt or to get used to. The main advantage of immersion is its efficiency. You are learning while you are doing other things you would be doing anyway. Checking social media, watching videos, playing games. It turns leisure time into learning time. The limitation, and it's a big one, is the initial discomfort. The first few days of having your phone in English will be frustrating. You'll have to think harder to do simple things. This is a crucial point. It is supposed to feel that way. That feeling of slight confusion and frustration is the feeling of your brain building new pathways. It's the feeling of growth. My tip for success is to not go from 0 to 100. If changing everything at once is too much, start with one thing. For 1 week, just change your phone language. The next week, change your Instagram feed. The week after, try listening to a podcast in English on your way to work. Small, sustainable changes are much better than a big change that you give up after 2 days. You should use this method because thinking in English requires your brain to believe that English is a necessary and relevant part of your world. Immersion is how you send that message. You're not just visiting English for an hour a day in a classroom, you are building a home inside the language. You're listening in English, you're thinking in English, you're living in an English environment. Now, it's time for the final, most active stage. This is where we move from simply processing English to creating with it. This technique involves debating or explaining in English. This might sound intimidating, like something you do in advanced university class, but we're going to scale it down to something you can do by yourself for just 1 minute a day. This is the ultimate test of thinking in English because it forces you to organize your thoughts logically and express them persuasively, all within the new language. The core idea is to take a simple, debatable question and force yourself to argue one side of it out loud for a short, fixed period of time. This isn't about being right, it's about the mental exercise. Here's the procedure. First, you need a question. It doesn't have to be serious. In fact, it's better if it's a little silly. Questions like, should homework be banned? Are cats better than dogs? Is pineapple on pizza a crime against humanity? Next, you introduce the activity to yourself. Choose a side. It doesn't even have to be the side you actually believe in. Sometimes it's a better exercise to argue for the opposite of what you believe. Then, the execution. Set a timer on your phone for 1 minute, 60 seconds, and you start talking. You state your position and you try to give reasons for it. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to not stop talking for the entire minute. You have to keep generating thoughts and putting them into words. You are trying to build a cogent argument. This is a wonderful advanced word, cogent. Let's pronounce it. Cogent. Cogent. The stress is right at the beginning. Cogent. A cogent argument is one that is clear, logical, and convincing. It makes sense. It persuades the listener. Even when you're arguing about something silly like pizza toppings, the practice of trying to make your points logical and connected helps you build the skill of forming cogent thoughts in English. Good synonyms are convincing, powerful, or logical. Why does this 1 minute torture session work so well? The theoretical basis is all about time pressure. When you only have 60 seconds, you do not have time to think of an argument in your native language. Mentally translate every sentence, check the grammar, and then speak it. It's impossible. You are forced to build the argument brick by brick. using the English words and structures you already have. It creates a direct link between the logic centers of your brain and the language centers. As you talk, you should try to back up your points with reasons, even simple ones. You should try to substantiate your claims. Here's our last C2 word for today: substantiate. It's a long one, but we can do it. Stan, she, ate. Substantiate. The stress is on the second syllable. Stan. Substantiate. To substantiate a claim simply means to provide evidence or proof for it, to back it up. If you say, cats are better than dogs, your friend might ask you to substantiate that claim. You would then need to give reasons. Well, they are cleaner. They are more independent. In your 1-minute debate, you are practicing this. Even a simple because is an act of substantiation. A common way to say this is to support or to prove. Let's do a very quick example. The question: should homework be banned? Timer starts. I believe homework should be banned. First, students are already tired after a long day at school, and they need time to rest and play. This is important for their mental health. Second, not all students have a quiet place at home to do homework, so it is not fair. It gives an advantage to some students over others. Therefore, learning should happen at school, and home should be for family and rest. See? The sentences weren't complex, the ideas weren't revolutionary, but it was a structured, cogent argument where I tried to substantiate my points. The biggest advantage of this technique is that it perfectly simulates the pressure of a real, fast-moving conversation. It trains you to think on your feet. The challenge is obvious. It's hard. You will run out of words. You will pause. You will say and ah a lot. You might get halfway through a sentence and realize you don't know how to finish it. This is not failure. This is the feeling of your brain stretching. This is good work. My tip for success is record yourself. I know, nobody likes the sound of their own voice, but listen back to your 1-minute argument. Where did you get stuck? What words were you missing? Maybe you wanted to say that homework creates inequality, but you didn't have that word. Now you can look it up. The next time you do the exercise, you'll have that word ready.
You should use this method when you feel you are ready to move from passive understanding to active creation. It is the bridge between knowing English and using English as a tool to think, to persuade, and to reason. It is the final step in making the language truly your own. Thinking in another language isn't about replacing who you are. It's about discovering another version of yourself you never knew existed. Do you agree with these ideas? Do you have another technique that has helped you start to think in English? Write it down in the comments section below. Let's create a community of learners and help each other. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your attention with me today. Make a promise to yourself to listen to something in English every single day, even if it's just re-listening to this, and watch how your world begins to change.